So like Andrew said, this is Q4 Prep Series, the Great Influencer Debate. And Andrew and Lacey are going to go head to head to help you guys decide, are social media influencers impactful powerhouses or overglorified users?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So let's get started here with our presenters today. Andrew is our Director of Marketing and Operations here at Seller's Choice, and Lacey is our real-life social media influencer. So you guys can go ahead and tell our audience a little bit more about yourselves.
Hi guys, my name is Lacey Faye. I have a LaceyPerspective.com for the last 9 years. I've been full-time as a blogger and influencer for 4 of those 9 years. I mostly focus on fashion, travel, beauty, and lifestyle. Also digital consulting for a lot of other bloggers and influencers out there and focusing on honing in on their digital brand.
Andrew Maffetone, I'm the Director in Marketing of Operations here, of Marketing and Operations. Said that wrong. I've been in digital marketing for pushing 15 years now. I have been a big fan of inbound marketing and digital advertising in general, and really not a huge fan of the branding and influencer aspect of things, which is why I decided to take that role on today. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Thank you for having me, Angela.
You're very welcome, Andrew. So you are in the right place if you're ready to improve your social media marketing strategy, if you are exploring the option of using a social media influencer to rep your brand, if you're looking to learn a little bit more about using social media as part of your marketing, and then if you're excited to have a great Q4 or you're just flat out awesome. So to start off, here's a little background about what exactly is a social media influencer. Social media influencer is a user on social media who has established their credibility in a specific industry. They have access to a large audience and can persuade others by virtue of their authenticity and their resources.
Do you know where we got that definition from?
From Google.
Yes. Thanks,
Professor Google.
Good?
Yeah,
all right. So, there we go. Let's do this.
Let's.
Ma'am?
Okay. So our first question is, should small business owners with a limited budget invest in using a social media influencer?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
This is a question that I get all the time, and the unfortunate answer is that it really depends. On the smaller end, if you're not having a large budget and want to work with an influencer, you're obviously going to not get an influencer with a larger following. And in turn, you have to get really specific on what their niche is, where are they located, what are you looking for? And if that influencer seems to represent what type of audience you're looking for, what kind of customer you're looking for, then I would say they are definitely worth that next step. Some influencers are willing to take their fee down a certain amount. I've definitely discounted my fee in the past because I really want to support a local brand. So don't think that they're out of reach.
Okay. I'm gonna hold strong at no. And my only thought process behind that is, if you're a smaller business and you have a limited budget, I feel like there are better places you can put your money. So assuming that a smaller budget is several $1,000s is what you have to work with, you're probably going to see a little bit more on a conversion aspect if you're using that for social media advertising or something like that, something a little bit more directed towards actual conversion. Because when you're a smaller business, you have to be able to get to the funding to be able to focus on branding. And in the beginning, you're still kind of doing that proof of concept.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would put that money towards an influencer, because in reality, yes, you need the branding, but you really need to just make sure you keep your lights on in the beginning more.
I agree, but depending on the conversion rate that you're getting with these Facebook ads, they may get to your website, but to get them to actually go and click and purchase is the advantage of what the influencer has, is that they're trusting me. They've been with me for will use me as an example, 9 years, and they kind of trust me as almost like that friend. They know my dog's name. Like that's how close that we have become in a relationship. That if I'm saying I use this thing all the time and it's amazing, I can get them not only past me and into your website, but actually click the button to purchase. And I don't think you can get that guarantee from a Facebook ad.
But you can't guarantee your conversion rate or your
no, and
rate.
Any influencer who says they can is lying to you. They can give you examples of former campaigns. That's something that I often will do is kind of go, here's what's worked, in the sense that they'll tell me, here's how many we sold using your discount code or whatever they may do with me. But no influencer, any influencer who says they can guarantee X number is just giving you an example of what they had in the past, and you have the right to ask to see it.
But if I have $5,000 and I go, okay, I'm either going to put this towards a influencer where I may have a conversion rate that on average they see, which most influencers I've worked with won't even give me that number.
Wow.
So I can't even get an average out of most of them because some of them may not even know, especially if they're strictly an Instagram influencer because they have no way of tracking that.
True.
A blog, maybe a little bit different if you have affiliate codes and things like that.
Facebook is easier too.
I'm talking about more of if I have $5,000 to spend, why not put it towards a social ad that's been working, or a Google ad, or a bigger email campaign, or a billboard at that point.
But why not do what all smart marketing managers do and diversify and do both? $5,000 is enough to get one decent sized influencer and be able to push ads to the influencer. I've worked with large companies before that have done both, where they took my ad, boosted it with them. Facebook now has a partnership angle you can do with businesses, so they can see what's going on my end, and they also are getting an advantage as well as I am. So, I mean, and any good marketing manager would do, you diversify and time those campaigns simultaneously. Why are you laughing? It's true.
Good point. Okay, so you're saying doing
one or two influencers that are
a branded post with an influencer
alongside of a digital campaign, a digital ad campaign.
Okay.
It's two different types of digital ads if you really look at it like simply. One is a Facebook digital ad, one is me and my platforms. It's a multi-platform digital ad, really.
Yeah. So at that point, you're basically paying for the content, the video, the image, right?
Yeah, you're also getting.
You're boosting yourself.
Yeah, you're paying for the content creation. It's going to look much more warm, friendly, personal versus whatever your digital team, or your graphics team tosses together.
All right. Lacey won.
1 point for Lacey.
Shelly will score right.
All right. Next question.
Damn.
You're allowed to curse on this thing?
Can an influencer provide any extra value as opposed to just getting good customer reviews or customers promoting the products themselves? If I give customers a coupon code versus giving it to one individual or an influencer, is there really much of a difference?
I feel like I need the question clarified.
Yeah.
Are you saying that if we're doing a campaign and there's discount codes, is it worth paying an influencer to promote the discount code versus them just putting it on their own social?
I think it's saying, is it worth getting an influencer to promote a product, or can they just get by with getting good customer reviews and offering that extra value to their customers?
Well, if you have good customer reviews rolling already, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's coming from me. Don't go to an influencer if it's already working for you. But I would say on the other side of things, if you have maybe 1 or 2 reviews that are good, an influencer who can vouch for it, kind of its own version of a review, can be really helpful in sharing a discount code. Also, I'm getting, let's say, for example, if we're doing stories and you're swiping up, I can tell you, here's how many people swiped up, here's how many people tapped on yours, here's how many impressions over to your profile. So what I give you is not just they used a coupon code, but I have almost my own version of review saying that me talking about your product, here's how much engagement I got mentioning it, and here's what can happen if you continue to work with an influencer. But if you're not, I would say the reviews, if you're already getting tons of reviews, then keep going. But if you feel like you've plateaued, then maybe give an influencer a try and see if that works. If positive reviews is what your goal is.
I don't know if I'm a little confused by the question, but my thought is if you're getting reviews from a product or something along those lines, that's social proof. And if you're using an influencer, that's forced social proof. It's still social proof. So if you have enough reviews and you have enough whether it's copy, so the actual review itself, or if you were lucky enough to get imagery. I know Yahoo and even Amazon can take images. Yeah. If you can utilize those things, you're using your own customers as influencers, and you don't have to pay them $5,000
exactly.
to post an Instagram post and get you nothing.
I think we're kind of both saying the same thing. Is like, if you've got good reviews and you already have proof of concept, keep going and use those to your advantage and market those great reviews you've got. Like, don't spend money on an influencer if it's already there.
Yeah, I would agree. If this person is whoever sent that question in, if you're there,
yeah, feel free to clarify.
Can you clarify and make sure that we actually answered that question?
I think we're answering it, but it also is kind of vague. Like, it can, like, are you looking to gain more positive reviews? Maybe there aren't some. Maybe you're trying to bring that review percentage number or balance up. Then maybe an influencer who's saying this is great, and then there are people who buy it, say it's great, helps you out. It kind of depends on what your end goal is.
Yeah. And the coupon code thing is where it's throwing me, so I'm not really sure. But if you're saying why give an influencer a coupon code when I could just take that coupon code and throw it up on my own social and boost that, it's kind of few and far between. Maybe they have an audience that you can't reach.
Yeah.
But
you're also using most companies use coupon codes with influencers to be able to track things. Yeah. Then it's like, okay, use, Lacy Perspective to get 50% off. They then can see how many people physically typed that into their ad cart. So it's a way that you can test kind of me out and see what you get on the other end. But doing it, just posting it on your social, it's like marketing strategy wise, what are you trying to gain? Are you just trying to get this coupon code to be used, or are you trying to test a theory? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've done coupon codes before, and I would say that I have not seen tons of success with my followers with coupon codes. But it also, if it's like 5% off, I mean, I wouldn't type it in. Yeah. But if it's like a really good gift, then maybe you do.
Yeah, and this kind of ties into a different argument, but in some cases I've seen companies that try to label themselves as a premium product, but then give an influencer a coupon code for 20% off.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be discounting your stuff if you're a premium product.
Depends on your target market, for sure.
I don't know. We got confused by question. Next one.
We answered it like 5 ways.
Both of you get a point on that round. Next question is, can I use an influencer as part of my marketing strategy in any industry, or are there more specific industries where influencers are better?
I just had this conversation with someone here in your office today. I think that every couple of years, a certain industry cycles up with influencers that become more popular than others. I would say 5-6 years ago, fashion obviously is really where they really came alive, and that was because of celebrities starting there and then kind of smaller influencers building from that. Travel is doing really well right now with influencers, as well as beauty, which I think are the top two in my mind, at least in what I've worked with successfully. Some people ask about how travel works with influencers. A lot of it is being paid to write reviews for hotels or partnering up with a DMO. So like for me, I'm in DC, working with Visit DC, and then paying me to kind of take over their Instagram and write about it and where I went and that kind of thing. So those are, that's a market that's been really doing well lately. And I know a lot of influencers have popped up from there. And in the beauty industry, that's just kind of where I've noticed the money for influencers has been on more beauty than the fashion side of things. But there's also influencers for the digital space, like in the sense of just kind of like tech even. I mean, there's so many niches of influencer out there. I'm more talking about like kind of the overarching ones that everyone kind of knows and loves as they scroll through Instagram.
I'm going to say that there's influencers out there that can work for certain audiences, but definitely not all of them. To give an example, we've worked with a couple different companies that do large commercial construction equipment. Like, even if there is an influencer construction person out there, his audience probably is not the ones who can make that buying decision.
Yeah.
Another one is we did one with like transcription headsets and dictation stuff. And it was like super boring electronics. And that's just not, there's no influencers for that market. They cater to like radiologists and doctors and all these other types of people that would use that kind of stuff. And that's understandable, but that's not a product that you see an influencer using and you go, oh, wow, that must be a great product to buy. It'd be like if Lacey sneezed and she used a tissue, I'm not going to go, wow, I got to go get that tissue. Like, no, it's just she uses tissues.
I did work with Kleenex once. That was an interesting campaign. Sorry, I know. I'm sorry. I did. I worked with a weird mix of different brands, but it kind of is, as my brand has shifted, so has the brands that have approached me. And vice versa, and me pitching out to them. I think another thing that I want to make sure that you guys know is that each influencer that you work with should know their demographics. Like I can tell you what my girl looks like in my mind. I can tell you what age range I'm normally seeing, click through to stuff. I can tell you where they're located. I'm giving you my top 5 cities, my top 5 countries. These are all things that they should be able to give you, and if they can't, then that's definitely not who you want to work with. All of influencers should have a media kit to give you as well as a pricing sheet. 2 things that you should expect from any influencer you work with, truly of any size. I have clients that are 5,000 Instagram followers and have been doing it for maybe a year or 2 that I'm making sure we're creating a media kit and a fee sheet as well, because no matter what, you should have the basics of your numbers just like any business should have.
Obviously I would agree. I would just say that a lot of the influencers I've worked with don't have, like, you also consult on the side. You do a lot of digital marketing on the side. So that's also, that stuff is important for a business. So it makes it selling to the business a lot easier. A lot of influencers that, at least some of the smaller ones that are like, let's say less than 500,000 followers, like they don't have that kind of stuff.
Well, I think that something that the influencer industry is only 10 years old. And at that, it's barely there. There's only a handful of us that have been even touching doing this for 10 years. And the one thing that I think that do you think it's older than 10 years?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
if you're counting celebrity, but the word influencer, people who are kind of your everyday people being paid to promote in their daily routine on an Instagram or on a blog post, this stuff, bloggers have existed. Those are just writers.
Yeah, but if you think about like people that used to speak at conferences and had a book to sell, they were an influencer. They weren't a celebrity. You could have said they were a celebrity in their space, but back then, celebrities are influencers.
Yes.
Not all influencers are celebrities.
Exactly.
But like, if you look back to like Michael Jordan, when he started his shoe line, like he was an influencer. He was using what he had. He didn't have the benefit of social media, where now it's easier to become an influencer.
Right.
And you can be a influencer in your space, and your space could be wheelchairs now. Back then, it wasn't that easy.
But I would say then, I guess I'll clarify in the sense of like digital or like social media influencers. That industry is only, I mean, Instagram is not even 10 years old. Right. Yeah. So I would say, like, when I started, my Facebook page and my Twitter page was my only means of promotion of my site. And so I guess what I should be more specific in is that it's social media influencers versus influencer, absolutely. But it's still a very young industry, and most people don't know they're running a business until they accidentally stumble into running a business. Mm-hmm. And a lot of influencers out there are younger and have not been doing it as long as a lot of us that have been in this game for a while have. And so they're the ones that are still learning as they go, and that's why people like me now get paid to show them kind of, hey, by the way, this is a business. It's not just a fun Instagram picture.
Yeah. No. Okay. So we both had examples locked and loaded for this. So let's cater to that real quick, because so mine Ari, A-R-I-I. I'm sure everyone saw this article because it was everywhere when I saw this.
A while ago.
So it was June, July? I can't remember when it came out, but it was out, and it was basically this influencer who had 2.6 million followers, I think it was, and she got an agreement with some company to release a clothing line under her name, and all she had to do was sell 36 t-shirts, and they would pick it up and they would go and create the whole line for her. How they came up with 36 t-shirts or what those shirts are, I have no idea, but she sold like 4 and was unable to post it, and her engagement was tolerable. It was decent for that many followers. Tens of thousands, if not a couple hundreds of thousands of likes per post, which for that many followers makes sense. But no one purchased. So what is the point in using someone that big who has that big of an audience and then can't really turn around and say like, oh, you're going to make nothing off of this. So many people will see your name, but at the end of the day, you're not going to make anything.
I think that my answer to this is there's a lot of people gunning for the influencer industry because it's not understood. And my example is I heard about this, but when I found out who it was, I had never heard of this person before. And she's I'm not saying she's new in the sense that she's been doing it for a year, but she's definitely not been a long-term established influencer. She's mostly one of those young, pretty Instagram girls that happened to start making money and then was like, I want a clothing line, which name me an influencer that doesn't think they deserve one themselves. But what I heard was there's a lot of, what I heard and read through a lot of people in kind of, we have Facebook groups of influencers that all kind of share our information. And what I was told was on her end, the agent that was repping her and things like that were not communicating properly to her. And there was kind of go-betweens that were not answering questions because she had worked with other brands in the past where she was selling things and things were going well. No company would come to her if there wasn't some proof. No company is just going to blindly go, hey, have you ever sold anything? No, let's make a clothing line. There had to have been some sort of proof of concept before a brand went to her to create a line.
Yeah, but if she had the proof of concept at one point, even some agent miscommunication, she still posted, still had the product available, and no one bought it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. There's no way I can combat this other than there are people in the influencer industry that don't know how to run a business. They just smile and look pretty, and those are the people that ruin it for people like us who are trying to build a relationship with our followers as well as building a business.
So, okay, so let's talk about the people like us. So you know your, you know your click-through rate, I assume. Do you know your conversion rate after a click-through rate?
I mean, for each campaign, it's different.
So when someone comes to you and says, okay, my products, my average order value is X, your click-through rate is X, your conversion rate average is Y, are you able to tell them if you spent 10K with me, you'll see X in return?
Absolutely not. Each campaign is completely different. When I worked with Target is going to be very different than when I worked with Banana Republic, than when I worked with Ritz-Carlton. I mean, you know, people clicking on booking a hotel room is a lot smaller of a number than people buying a $20 pair of shoes in Target. So every single campaign I have is completely different. I can give you an idea of someone I've worked with that's similar and kind of give you an example of what did and didn't work. But by no means, there's very few influencers, probably the ones with the larger numbers who are the ones that are successfully now with their own clothing lines or their own brand or whatever they're doing outside of the influencing space, probably have better numbers to show you because they have a business outside of it. But I personally, I've worked with such a variety of brands that it really is different for each one. So I can give you a similar to, like, oh, you're a candle company. I've worked with another one before 4 years ago, but my following may be more active clicking through now than they were 4 years ago. So it is truly so ever changing that I can give you my best educated kind of guess, but I wouldn't be able to say, I can guarantee you with 5 grand, you're going to make this much from me.
So then for smaller brands, why bother putting something into where you're kind of giving them an educated guess as opposed to just scaling up a campaign that they're already running?
Well, I would say that when we were talking about pairing an influencer campaign with an ad campaign, is the influencer end is much more name recognition that you're paying for versus the other side where you're knowing that you can have Facebook push through to conversion rate. I can't while talking through my stories be like, if I say these couple words, I know I'll get a better conversion than if I, say something else.
Yeah, that I get. That I understand of piggybacking off of your current brand awareness versus the company's brand awareness.
Yeah.
But if a company is funding the ad itself, not the ones to the influencer, if they're funding their own to
digital
their own
ads.
site,
Yeah.
and they know their conversion rate, they can at least have a much better educated guess on a conversion value than if they worked with an influencer.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other way to put this. There's, like I said, the bigger influencers who have a team of agents that rep them, that are constantly keeping an eye on every single campaign. Like, I have a spreadsheet. I'm a much smaller influencer. In the end, I'm on the middle end of micro. Like, I think micro is between 50 and 200,000 on Instagram is the number people randomly pick. So I'm kind of floating in the middle of it. But there are people with a team of agents that have all of the information of how things have worked for each campaign they've had, and those are the people that are pitching really big brands. But if we're talking about your kind of average e-commerce person who's kind of a small to mid-size, you're working with a small to mid-size influencer. So the same issues you're having as a business, we are too. You're still trying to figure out who my customer is, and how am I going to get name recognition? How am I going to get that conversion rate? I'm doing the same thing for you. I'm just a different version of a digital ad. Mm-hmm. But I would say for influencer, with the ones that are on the small to medium size, you're going more for brand recognition and name recognition, then you are going, obviously you want sales out of it and it is expected to happen. But I'm saying don't go in saying, I'm going to spend $5K and in turn sell X number of items. And also a long-term relationship with an influencer is really important, because if you want one-time shot working with someone like myself, you can be like, oh, this worked. And if we do it again, you'll start to get an idea of how it's going. This year have 3 year-long contracts. And because I'm locked for a year, this brand can now track every month what's working with me, what isn't working with me. We can shift to a different product that maybe they have in their host of products that will work better with me. And we kind of have a monthly touch base where I'm like, hey, every time I bring this up, when it's not a sponsored moment, but I'm using your item, this is getting love. We should try this the next month. So what has been the most popular right now in the influencer space is longer term campaigns versus one-offs that are just not as successful anymore, because a lot of influencers are being called out for not being kind of genuine. Like, oh, you don't use that one product. It just appeared because it has hashtag ad. And for me, if it's a product you've now seen me use month after month after month, you're trusting me and that brand more. So going in with a one-time, I would say try not to if you don't have to.
I'm going to give that round to Lacey again. She knows her stuff. Okay, so this is more of a statement rather than a question, but influencers can boost your SEO to noticeable heights.
You can go on that one, right?
Yeah. So it's just a statement?
That's a statement for you guys.
Like, what are your thoughts on it?
What are your thoughts?
Okay. No, that I could agree with. I think that's a backlink strategy.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any of them, like that's basically the common sense one. So you're obviously getting a backlink from ideally a blogger that has decent domain authority or whatever it is you're using to track that. I would agree with that. The only thing I would say is I would rather spend $5,000 on getting several backlinks from companies that are willing to do like blog exchanges or anything like that than to just work with an influencer for a backlink, because that backlink isn't going to get you that much traction. Plus, bloggers don't post for keyword ranking. They post like interest pieces. So your blog picks up and does well for a couple months, and then it teeters off and it falls away while new stuff starts to pile on top of it. Unless you have some of those gift ones or anything like that, I know those can interchange.
I would say we definitely, if you're strategic about it, do use keywords as a way to drive some of your content. Like if I'm having a really great consistent month over month, then I want to keep that moving. I'm going to try to find a way to get my content towards a couple keywords that I know will do well. But that's also a strategy that a lot of influencers are still learning and figuring out. But there's definitely times I've worked with brands where they want to basically just drop a link in a post that I already have. I personally don't like going too far back in some of my old content to drop a post in or drop a link in for them to get a backlink out of it. But if they want to work on something that's newer, where I can still have control over my content, but there's one link or two links to you that you want, that's something I've negotiated before.
Yeah.
So I feel like yes to the statement, but it just really depends on your strategy.
Yeah, and I would say it depends on who you're going after. Like at that rate, I would care less about their Instagram following and more about the organic reach of their website.
Right. Whereas
if I'm going for more of a branding play, I would flip that.
Right. Blogs are looked at more as resources now, as I'm gathering. People are not, like I mentioned earlier, Google Reader used to exist and people would just be scrolling through it, reading blog posts, and that was what it was before Instagram existed as a new way to scroll. But now blogs are more of a reference point for me. When I'm sitting in Instagram and I'm saying I'm making my coffee this morning and using my favorite collagen powder, swipe up to see my blog post of why I love to use it. That blog post could be 5 months old, but I'm still getting use out of it in other places. So for me, my strategy with my content on the site now is much more focused to reference point that people can continuously go to versus here's an outfit post where this shirt may already be sold out. So I think that that's another strategy on the e-commerce side for medium to small businesses is when you're looking to partner with them, especially on a blog post, is think about ways that it can have a longer lifespan.
Yeah, I think for smaller businesses, I actually might have to say that if you're looking for a backlink strategy, that although will probably be more expensive, it might be easier just because smaller businesses getting a decent backlink from bigger businesses is harder than just paying an influencer to post something.
Totally.
So yeah, I think we kind of agree on that.
Wow. Yeah, another tie. You guys agree?
This is stupid.
Okay.
You really did the good now.
Okay. So here's the last question for you guys to debate, and then I have two more just general influencer questions.
Yeah.
So this one is, I'm an Amazon seller. Should I be using an influencer? So they're exclusively selling on Amazon.
This is perfect time for me to use my example. So my example hasn't been used yet. It's because it's a really great one. So I'm sure for many of you that are on Amazon have heard of the infamous Amazon coat. It has been
stupid coat.
It's ridiculous. So the seller is actually based in China, and they don't actually just sell coats. The coat was one of, I think, 2 out of their whole host of products that they have. In the Upper East Side in Manhattan, just over the bridge here, they got very popular just in this small mom group. And then one of the influencers, her name is Ariel, she's something Navy, wore it on Instagram on January 10th of this year. And January month alone, they sold $5 million worldwide of this coat. Not saying that she was all $5 million, and of that $5 million, 70% were in the United States, so that makes it even smaller. But just a bunch of moms in Upper East Side, and then this one influencer mentions it, and it wasn't in partnership. It was just because she saw her friends wearing it, walking around with her kids, and there was $5 million sold. They expect by the end of this year another additional 10 to 15 million. And they discounted during Prime Day and made a couple million on Prime Day. And this is a single coat. They actually are now going to start their own line of coats because it's doing so well. And now they're strategizing with influencers. And the hashtag on Instagram, Amazon coat, has exploded. There's fan pages for it on Facebook and Instagram. Like there's one with a couple thousand followers. It's an Instagram page. We're just reposting people in this coat.
Now, I hate this one so much. Okay, so yes, whatever. Here's the thing.
Not whatever. $5 million is not whatever.
What happened though was no one should underestimate moms in the Upper East Side. But B, so it picked up well, and the big thing that everyone was talking about was the fact that it was at the time, the big thing that everyone was talking about was that she wasn't paid to do it. So the company got it for free, and it was on Amazon. So all of the Amazon sellers out there flipped out. And they were like, whoa, I should totally be doing this. That's amazing. This company paid nothing and made $5 million, and I can do that too. And yet no one really has been able to replicate it. And really what the problem was is that a product went viral because another community of Amazon sellers got involved to look into what was going on here. Mm-hmm. And it started to get a lot of publicity of stories of different publications posting about this.
Forbes wrote about it, New York Times wrote about it.
Exactly.
I mean, it started to explode.
So it's not just the one blogger.
Yeah, I'm not
saying
that.
It's the fact that like Forbes wrote about it, and New York Times and Bloomberg, and they all wrote about it.
Right, but it was that diversification. But I'm also saying I wouldn't say it hasn't duplicated. No, there has not been one that's become like a popular viral. I also think because it was a clothing item makes it a little more universal versus a really niche product on Amazon. But I mean, Amazon Fashion, where they're now allowing they're sending it to you, you're allowed to try it on, send it back, it doesn't work, that kind of thing. That came to be because of the Amazon influencer program, which I'm also a member of. And you can make your own Amazon page and curate your favorite things, and clothing, those kind of fast $12 shirts and stuff that Amazon has, a lot of dupes of high-end products, are what have started to go really well. And it's because that coat is actually a knockoff of a designer coat. Yeah. The almost identical design. So I wouldn't say it didn't duplicate, it's just duplicated in different forms.
If you're an Amazon seller and you have money to spend and you're wondering if you should spend it on influencers, if you've already diversified and you have your own website or your own Walmart or eBay or Jet or one of those guys, and you've already done that, then I would be open to the conversation of now it has nothing to do with the fact that you're an Amazon seller, you're an e-commerce seller.
Yeah.
But if you are only an Amazon seller, it is like pulling teeth to track what is actually working versus what is not. you have affiliate links.
Yeah.
I know you can send out affiliate links and those can work, and the influencer can actually track it.
Yeah.
But on a Amazon seller's end, you can't really see where your sales are coming from unless they were native on Amazon. So if you drive traffic to your storefront, you're using one of those custom source tags.
Okay.
Sometimes those stupid things break and you can't track those.
Yeah.
Coupon codes sometimes don't work for whatever freaking reason.
Yeah.
So it's impossible. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult to track. So I would say, yeah, you can go the influencer route, but there's so many other places you could spend your money.
Difficult to track in the sense of, for this Coden example, January did really well when an influencer posted it, and in February maybe one didn't, and they didn't do 5 million. That's a pretty easy way to track that the influencer was helpful in sales versus the month that it wasn't.
Yes, but Amazon sellers want like down to the penny numbers of what they did. And like if you said like you did 5 million and then last month you did 4 million, like what was that drop in? And they want specifics.
Right.
And if you can't get specific tracking on what's working versus what's not, then I don't think I would suggest it unless you've already diversified, and then that's a different story.
So on the Amazon influencer partnership kind of world that I'm in, what they have, when they give us kind of our monthly emails, they tell us what products have been working on the pages and what haven't. They've told us like dupes of this ring has been selling well, and it's pushing us to start putting it on our Amazon page of our curated favorites. So Amazon in their own way is starting to try to manipulate, don't want to use that word necessarily, but manipulate the system of influencers so that I know for a fact that I can make a crap ton of money if I focus on jewelry because last month that did well off of all the influencer pages. So we're definitely getting strategy from Amazon of what's working for us. I'm not saying that that's necessarily I'm not going to sit and divulge it to every small business that comes at me that's on Amazon, but it's something that I know can be helpful to me and a company that if they approach me, I'm like, you fit this niche that I know is doing well right now. A partnership with you will be perfect. Here's what's worked for me in the past. So I would say that the fashion end of Amazon is where we can test the more viral stuff easier because it's such quick, cheap movement. And it's easier for me to integrate it in my everyday life. Like, oh, I'm still wearing this ring that I got on Amazon. That's so much easier for me to keep posting and mentioning versus something that's really, really specific.
Yeah, but if you have an affiliate link, it's for a specific product. It's usually not to their storefront, correct?
You can.
So to the storefront, I guess it's a different story. But if you go straight to a product, which is what most of them do, which is what the coat did, they don't have, like, your whole product line is not available. So I would rather drive traffic to the site and let people see your entire product line as opposed to just driving them to this one product. Because if it's a coat, what if I don't like the color? Like, or if it's not set up with variation, or I kind of like the shoes, but I want to see what else they have. Like, that is not as easily searchable on Amazon unless you send it to a storefront.
But in the influencer space, when someone's swiping up because of an item I'm wearing, they want that item. They're not going to swipe up and then go, oh, never mind. Because you saw it with me like live on my Instagram story in a video. You've seen it at multiple angles. That's why there's so many girls now doing video. And that's why video, and guys as well, are doing so much video. And that's why video is where everything is going now, hence Instagram stories and IGTV's attempt at what they did there, is because you can get a 360 view of products now. And that's the advantage of influencers. I'm talking into my mirror of Instagram stories and you're able to see the full thing I'm wearing. And then if I'm swiping up because it looks good. I'm not going, just kidding, I don't want it anymore unless you're sold out of that color or something. But if so, that means you sold out.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
I stand by no unless you've already diversified, in which case then maybe.
Tough one there. I might have to give it to Andrew on this one.
It's a pity point.
Yeah. You started to go back there.
Okay, so these next questions aren't really ones that you guys can debate. They're just general questions about influencers that Sylvia emailed to us. So the first one is, what is the best way to reach out to an influencer?
Please don't DM and email me. My email is normally, most of us have an email button sitting on our Instagram profile. Obviously on our website, you should have it sitting at the top right of your website, or on a contact page. But I've had a lot of businesses approach me via DM and I'll reply with my email address. And if I don't hear from them in an inbox, I don't take it seriously. Most tiny businesses make that I mean, my DMs get really, really crowded, and you're going to get lost in there. And in an email, that's kind of where business is done for me. And in Instagram, that's normally where my interaction with my followers are. So to me, those are kind of two separate worlds. So just please don't DM us.
Well, I would say DM them, because not everyone feels that way. Some people, they actually prefer it through the DM. But I would say, like in your case,
engage
if
with
they,
me in DMs.
yeah, like
sure.
start it. But
Yeah.
if you say email, then email it.
Yes, I would say, well, no, I would say that what has caught my eye before is I was wearing a product and I didn't know that company was following me, and they DM'd me and said, we spied the hair tie or something. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm such a big fan. And they're like, how can we work together? I was like, you can find my email in my profile. And then we had a bit of a conversation. That's fine. But I've gotten DMs with like 4 paragraphs of a pitch. And I'm like, I'll literally just reply with my email and no even words or anything. Just like, you can do this again. But if you want to start that's a great way to start getting on a bigger influencer's radar, is starting to engage with their content. I have some brands that I had no idea who they were, and they were consistently commenting on images, replying to stories, nothing pitchy, just kind of like, love that dress, or that looked like a great trip, or whatever, where they built a relationship with me. Then when their email came in my inbox, I didn't ignore it, because the name, I almost had my own version of name recognition starting to happen, where I was like, oh yeah, these guys, they're really fun.
Yeah.
And that's happened a couple times, and I've definitely discounted my fees for people like that, because it felt like they were already supporting me. Of course I want to support them.
Yeah, so it's like kind of like comment on the influencer's pictures a handful of times, and
Yeah.
then DM them.
Absolutely, especially if you're a smaller business, it's a great way to get on their radar.
Last question. What is the easiest way to make them an affiliate?
So like make them like a long-term partner.
Yes, I'm guessing.
Okay. For me, when I'm pitched for longer term stuff, I say no more often than yes, because if I'm going to be stuck, for lack of words, stuck with this product for a long period of time, it needs to fit into my content really naturally. And if it doesn't, then it's going to feel forced, and my followers know when it's forced, and any influencer's followers. We all know what it looks like now. We all know when we see hashtag ad, we double think before we do anything or even read what they just wrote. So for me, to be a long-term affiliate or partner with a brand, do your research on them before you pitch them. Because if you're pitching me on something that's a men's shave kit that obviously you have never seen my content before and noticed that I'm a female, or so it's something that has been happening a lot, where we just get cold pitches and you can tell no one ever did their research. So just like I do my research on you, you need to do your research on me. And so to get me longer term, and if you can say, I've seen the last 2 weeks on your Instagram stories, you've been using this type of shampoo, and I saw you worked with this brand last year, you did your research and knowing you're a fit with me, and I'm more likely to say yes to longer term. So just like we're expected to come at you as a business in a professional manner, we should hope for the same.
Any input on that?
No, it's a good point. I'd say like I like the research side. Like make sure you actually research who the influencer really is and what they post about.
Yeah.
A lot of people with these products that kind of fit into everything, like nutrition. Like, yes, you're a lifestyle blogger, or you're a fashion blogger, or you're a weightlifter. Like, you could be anything. I could work with anyone because I sell nutrition. Like, don't. Yeah. It doesn't always work. It still needs to fit in somehow. So I would definitely say, like, knowing who you're contacting in the first place before you even contact them.
And think about the influencer almost as a potential customer. Like, am I the type of customer you're looking for? Because if I am, my followers probably are. So I think that's another way, is look at your analytics. What are you gaining as a customer? And that's a great way to start narrowing down influencers, is if you're more female heavy between the ages of 25 and 34 and they live in this market, if I fit that, then I am more likely to say yes to working with you, because I'm already probably going to be interested in your product.
Yeah.
So think of us as customers first and then the influencer second.
I agree.
Great, and that's all I have.
Cool.
The only questions I have. Tell us who you think won.
We're done. Thanks everyone for joining us. Make sure we'll send out a replay later for all that fun stuff. I'm sure we'll send you an email with something. And then we will see you all next time, but we're going to put this up on YouTube and on our blog and all those other fun places. So if you ever have any questions, make sure you comment on whatever medium you're watching this on, And then, of course, I will allow so-and-so here to plug her stuff.
Shameless plug. You can follow me on Instagram, and it's at Lace, L-A-C-E Perspective. It's also the same across the board for Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest. And then the blog site is alaceyperspective.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.